Hello, everybody, to today's Shaper 3D webinar. In today's session, I will show you how you could find online at certain sites pre-made CAD models for hardware and implement those into your own design. And the example I will use to illustrate this is actually a kitchen island that needs to be redesigned. As a quick introduction, I will show you the website where, for example, you could source those in the United States, where to find them, how to find the part, what the differences are, how to download the part, and then how we could bring this into Shaper 3D. So to get started, one of the most popular websites to find actually these CAD models is the website called McMaster-Carr. They have a very large amount of prefabricated parts, literally for everything in the industry. And they also offer very often the CAD files. So in my situation, I would like to find glides for drawers. So you can go to McMaster, go to Find, type in glides, hit go, and for example, we can just browse around to see what we have here. For example, glides drawer glides, and there we know exactly where I need to be. The way how they, for example, present everything is on the left side, you see you can sort by different types. For example, select site and let's say 22 inches, and then they only give you a listing of what fits those criteria. I go back to the complete overview, and then now I can look around and see what type I would like to have. Glides come with all different types, also cost factors. So for this exercise, I will use the economy soft close drawer slide. That's actually the one that's also currently used in that kitchen island. And here now we see we have 18, 20, and 22 inches length. That's very important. For example, if you want to insert, in this case, a glide, that you really take good measurements or you understand how long the part has to be. And I would like to have the 22-inch long. Then I could go to click on the product number, which is blue. And upper left corner in that pop-up, you see product detail and CAD. That is where we have to click onto. And because I'm on an iPad right now in Safari, I will request the desktop side because scrolling that's a little bit easier on that website. So I can scroll down now. There you see they give you a technical overview, the drawing with all the dimensions, which is important for creating, for example, all the holes, etc., in the material where the glide later will be inserted. And if I scroll further down, there you see the save area. You can tap the pull-down menu, select step. Step is the CAD format you want to use to save as and then import into Shaper 3D. Then let's click Save. And since I'm on an iPad, I can't save to the Mac desktop or PC desktop. But we can save actually to, obviously, the iPad directly. So we can click More. Then we go to Save to Files. I have already the correct folder selected inside iCloud, inside Project, Kitchen Island, and then select Add, and the file would be downloaded and then saved in that folder. So I will, for a moment, go actually to that folder to show you what I have in there. So in this folder, you see I have multiple files already downloaded. On the far right one, you see the original file I nearly downloaded. Sometimes these names are a little bit cryptic. And you can see on the left side there, I still have the product number, but actually added the description to it: push to open, economy, soft close. So because when you want to try out multiple files, it really makes sense to give your files logical names. So when you start importing them into Shaper, you know exactly what file you're dealing with. So talking about Shaper, let's go to it. To import such a file, let's do a dry test run. I create a new design, and then upper left corner, the third icon with the arrow down, that is the import function. Select. And here now we have the iCloud folder again. And for example, I will push to open first to show you how this one looks like. So this file comes in with the correct amount of how far, for example, this glide can only extend. Now, if you, like in this case with glides, they have limits how far they can be extended. What I can do now is go to transform and then move. And I will double click all these parts, turn on copy, and move a copy 10 inches to the side. Then I turn copy off. Double select the top one. I will move my move widget to the top so it's easier to see. And as you see, I am trying to put this part together. And I will do the same here too. Obviously, these CAD models don't have all the hardware in it. They are more, they give you so many parts so you understand where are the holes for mounting, etc. And like in this case, now we see the collapse part and the extended part, and that's honestly really everything you need to deal with. So if I want, I could save this file, or I could maybe make two files. One file, for example, has the part extended, and one file has it collapsed. I will open the soft close economy file, and there you see this actually comes in completely together. And on the website, they actually say that this one extends 3/4. So when I move or the glides apart, I, in my mind, need to remember that there's a certain amount how far I can only extend this one to, let's say, here on the right side. Okay, so these files, as you see, we can also save as Shaper files, which actually really makes sense because then I don't have to re-import step files all the time. I can see all the different components I would like to work with already at once, which makes it very easy then to import, let's say, the soft close economy into the kitchen island original file. So having talked about that, let's go to that file. This is a pretty close representation of the original design. This is a project I'm doing right now with my students in furniture design, because there's a change in the perception of the necessity and also the style of kitchen islands. Most people have a kitchen island in the US because people have an island, but having a kitchen island for the sake of having one because everybody else has one is not necessarily the best idea. And also then the style, how do we interact with it? How much storage do we really need? These are all questions that currently are a little bit more explored. What I would like to take a quick moment here is tell you how I prepped the design working with groups, because when you want to work with multiple parts, particularly imported CAD files like the drawer, come in with a lot of multiple parts, the glides, the metal parts, rollers, etc. You really want to structure your scene in a way that it makes it very easy to look into your design, take it apart, selecting elements very quickly and efficiently. So on the left side with the groups open, you see I have a folder called countertop. And that folder, I only have the countertop geometry inside. Then the drawers I broke down into the doors, the drawer top, and even the glides top. Same also with the drawers for the bottom part and the drawers and the glides. And let me show those again. I would like to work now with the glides, reposition them, or maybe adjust the drawers, but not the frames in my way. So the frame, I separated into the frame for the front and the back. And the back is very important because the glides has to be mounted on it. And I have a frame for the rest. I call this one sides and base. If I turn this one on now, there you can see I can very comfortably look into my design. I can maybe turn off the doors, so I have it a little bit easier to see into that space too. So a little bit of preparing your scene is very, very useful in that case. So you don't lose a lot of time by moving parts away so you can look into, and then you move them back. That actually can introduce also problems. The best way here is trying to make logical groups that then help you to quickly show height elements and work in your design. So as I said, the exercise for here would be to redesign this. The task is to maintain the countertop and also maintain the drawers. They're actually pretty well designed. The wood joinery is actually quite excellent. They're very sturdy. Just the doors and the rest of this kitchen island I don't really like. So let's go to the next step. What's the best way now how to set up your workflow so you get to the end result like this one very fast without much work and not wasting too much time on aligning elements and also maybe by accident introducing problems. So let's go to this design. I prepared this one so I can show all the different steps I took to get to that end result. As you can see up front already, because this is a symmetrical design, I only work with one half, and then the rest later can be copied over. Let me go to groups. I will go to the plane here. You see here I have a symmetry plane. There's one thing I really would like to point out. I will hide this one, I will hide the countertop, the case, and I will hide this one for the second. I tried to adjust the geometry of the glides a little bit and the drawers so everything is neatly aligned. That means from the top, they are perfectly left and right, or from this view, top to bottom oriented. And all glides on these two levels are also perfectly above each other. So this is kind of like one unit block. Even from the side, there you can see everything left to right is even out. If you would create something from scratch, that's also one huge tip I would give you to just get into the practice of doing it that way. So let's take a look at the top glide and the top drawer first. If I would import the file, let's do this actually as an exercise. So I will hide all those and I will hide the top. So this is now the drawer. I position it roughly under the countertop where I want it. I moved it a little bit to the center. I also adjusted the dimension of the door. And now I would like to position the glides. To do this now, we can go to Import, File, and I did not save actually as an importable step file, importable shaper file. The other files I did already. So I will use actually the step file here, push to open. And there is the original part. Oh, sorry, I made a mistake. I did not want the push to open. I wanted the soft close economy. Okay. So looking at the glide now, I have to figure out how to rotate it and position it. Shaper has very fantastic tools for this. So before we continue, let's take a look at groups. You see the imported step file is put into a group called imported. I could give this a different name because the rest is all named here already. I will skip this step. So let's go to the move and rotate. Then I select groups and select imported. Now you see now all the parts of that step model are automatically selected. So you don't have to go step by step, select just this way one time. This is a huge time saver. And then let's rotate this one 90 degrees. When you slide the rotation this way with your pencil, be very careful that once you go away from the screen, when you lift up your pencil, you do not by accident move your pencil a little bit so that maybe you end up with 91 degree. Alternatively, you can always select the number and just type the correct number in, and then we are good. Then now we have to rotate it along a second axis, like this. There you saw like it was 100, I moved my pen, it was 109, so it was my hand movement. So you have to be a little bit conscious and disciplined about it. And let's take a look how this one is rotated. You see it's upside down. I have to rotate this one more time. The widget got moved, so I try to reposition it. See the center point you can move, and then because the transform has auto rotate on, it auto rotates and aligns the rotation widget. And you see nothing happened because I had nothing selected. So I select everything again via the group select. Very good function. And there, let's rotate this one 180 degrees. Perfect. Click done. Very good. So this is amazing. So how do I get this one now perfectly snug onto the drawer? So obviously, in this case for furniture design, nothing is really to a fraction of a millimeter precise, because let's say like wood, based on the climate, moisture, dry air, it will work and expand. So we need to have a little bit of wiggle room, but particularly we want to still work precise when we need to do positioning of elements when we have to drill holes. So with the move command, I could move it up, left and right, and then position it, but that's a little bit tricky. That introduces problems of being imprecise. So instead of using the move, we use the translate command. That's a pretty useful one. So we, again, select the part via import, then go next, and it will ask us now from this point, that's the start point, to maybe, let's say, an end point. I zoom in. Also, when you have very small elements, make sure you select the correct edge, like this one. And then I can click OK. And if I zoom in there, you see it perfectly sits on that part. So for the drawer to have maximum amount of moving out, I want to move the whole glide to nearly being snug against the door of the drawer. For this, I can actually use the move command. That's pretty good there. And then we just move it to there. I bring my widget a little bit closer. And here's another tip when you adjust these parts. So right now you see the steps, how it's moving, and the more you zoom in, the finer the grid, and then the finer the steps, you will be able to position these parts. Maybe a quick look from below. You see there, just one tick in. This is fine. You could also add the numeric value, and there we are. Perfect. So this is very good. Now, how do I do the same with the other part, the other side? Because I would like to position them exactly the same way. So there are multiple ways or tricks how you could do this. And I would like to show you the way how I would do it. You see, I have here the mirror plane that basically helps me to later mirror this drawer to the other side over. And I don't have a second mirror plane for the drawer itself to mirror the glide over to that side. I could create that construction plane, but then I have an additional element, and there are actually other ways how we could do this. So I will backtrack one moment, and I'd like to show you something, how to really smartly work with geometry and then with groups. This will actually make it really nice. So we go to the translate, select this one, perfect. And then from this corner to, I will make a copy actually. No, actually no. To this corner, I move this one and make sure it really snaps to the correct point. Say done, and there it is. Very good. Now I have to mirror this over. I go to transform, mirror. I will select the group again. Next, make a copy, select the plane, select done. Then I go back to translate, go to group. You see if I select group now, we have the problem of it selects both at the same time. So in this case, here what I have to do is I have to select these parts by myself. So double tap, double tap always on the faces. It's the easiest way. A little bit of zooming in. There is a hinge and like a ball or a wheel. Double tap, double tap. There we have it. Zoom out a little bit. And then click next. I'm going to do exactly the same step. So we pick this corner and snap it or translate it to this corner. Select done. And they're both perfectly positioned. So because both glides are inside the same group, now I could go to transform, move, and select group, select the imported parts, and then move both at the same time. So you see the advantage of this. Instead of moving one perfectly and then importing the next one or making a copy and then positioning the next one, I try to find ways that make positioning everything very easy, cut my work down, and also make sure that everything is equal. So with this done, you see I have left and right, the glides perfectly finished. To create now everything for the right side, now I could go to mirror, group, imported, next, select the plane, obviously make a copy, done. And as you can see there now, we have everything on the other side too. So very easy and actually also very accurate. Okay, and that pretty much, let me delete this layer. That's the way how I approached positioning all the different glides and then making sure they are all accurately. And because I used these reference points at the corners, it was very easy to, in terms of height and left and right, to make sure they're all perfectly aligned. So even with the gap here in between, I only needed to make sure that all the glides were positioned at these corner points, and then I moved all 4 glides together on 4. And then when all this was done, with the mirror command and the mirror plane, this one, I made a complete copy to the other side. Okay, to finish this up a little bit, and for those who are, for example, interested in this type of furniture work, when you also work with existing geometry, the transform and move commands are also very, very useful here for other elements. And I would like to show you something how successful they are. I'm going back to the kitchen island design because that is the original design. There we can see how everything is somewhat different. And I will hide most elements I don't need for the moment. There, perfect. This is actually the stock. I would like to make this a little bit wider. So this object I will select, go to move, and I extend the whole drawer by exactly 1 inch. Or let's say I have to make it 2 to 4 inches more narrow. So we don't have to recreate parts because Shaper with direct modeling gives us the ability to very easily and efficiently adjust everything just by moving objects and, what I'm going to show you now, moving faces. So I moved this whole body 1 inch to the other side, which makes it easy because now I could select this face only. This a step and then say, move this one 1 inch. Good. In case I do not remember the correct number, we can actually also use the translate tool, which is pretty cool. So we can go to transform, translate, select these 2 faces, and then I go next and I say from this corner to there, move this. Zap, everything got moved. So all fits. Down here, we have to do the same. So face is selected. And you see that I drew actually the first and second point. So this is actually not 1 inch. So I make sure that it perfectly snaps. Here, 2 lines or 2 edges are highlighted at black. It also says intersection. That's pretty awesome. That's what I need. And done. And there we are. So it was a very easy and fast way to make sure that the joinery and everything maintains the same by just simply moving objects and moving bodies. And that, in a nutshell, is pretty much everything I want to cover today. In furniture design, you have, for example, add hardware to it and customize it, and show you a little bit about how you can or should make use of groups, etc., and then the transformation tools to make sure what you design is also precise and symmetrical. So the next step in terms of fabrication then obviously would be we would take the final design, we would take it apart. Taking apart that means I would take this plate and put it on the ground. I would take this plate and put it on the ground. And then all these individual files I would save and export. And then either they could be to a draftsman who then can load the file. And they have 2 ways how to create them. In my own professional work, we don't use source anymore. We just put the step file into a CAM program, and then via CNC milling, we simply cut all the individual parts out. Also, where the drawers are and the holes, we could actually take these holes and then cut holes into the parts, and then via CNC milling, even these holes would be cut out. So then we have pilot holes, and we know exactly where all the glides, for example, have to be inserted via screws, and there's no manual testing or secondary inaccuracy that could happen by glides, for example, being installed incorrectly. Okay, and that basically is everything.